the nikah was done at the age of 6. There's no engagement as such, yeah? We went to Medina and stayed at the home of Bani al-Harith bin Khazraj. Then I got ill and my hair fell down. Later on my hair grew again, and my mother Ruman came to me while I was playing in a swing with some of my girlfriends. She called me and I went to her, not knowing what she wanted to do with me. She caught me by the hand and made me stand at the door of the house. I was breathless then, and when my breathing became all right, she took some water and rubbed my face and head with it. Then she took me into the house. There in the house I saw some Ansari women who said best wishes and Allah's blessing and a good luck. Then she entrusted me to them and they prepared me for the marriage. Unexpectedly Allah's apostle came to me in the forenoon and my mother handed me over to him, and at that time I was a girl of 9 years of age. This is from Aisha radiallahu anha. And that's been the standard position. It's recently the scholars have come about the doubts of the age, and it's been as a reaction to mostly Western attack upon the Prophet ﷺ's sexuality, etc. You see, I don't think we need to go here. I mean, I will, when I have the time and energy to do so. I'm intrigued a little bit to find out, but that's not the purpose, that's not the point here. The point is, what is wrong with this enactment here? Why is this accusation of this story so horrific to imagine, especially from somebody who comes from a Western construct? And is morality based upon Western or Eastern or cultural or time-bound? Are our morals and ethics today, living in the 21st century in Britain, in the West, should they be different to our morals of last century ago? Or 1400 years ago, living in Arabia? Or are ethics and morals the same? Islamically, of course, the answer is clear. They are the same. Wherever you go, wherever you are, the Quran shapes our morals and ethics. And I don't mean just rules. There's a funny story, which, I don't mean to be homophobic or anything like that, but it's an interesting example people use, that there's a Muslim man, ardent, who leaving the country at the aeroplane, about to leave the country. His friends come running up to him and they say, well, you know, what's happening? Where are you going? He goes, I'm going back to Pakistan. What for? He goes, do you know, 100 years ago in this country, it was illegal to be a homosexual. 30, 40 years ago, it became legal from 21 years of age. Now they're making it legal, and there's the people saying, so what? Because now they're making it legal at 18. I want to leave before they make it compulsory. And this shows, I've got to be careful with things like that, and I mean careful from a perspective that we are not a homophobic religion. Islam is not homophobic. For us to be against, we are not against people. We are against actions which we believe are not correct according to our morals and ethics. But going back again, this shows that morals and ethics can't be in fluidity. What's right today can't be wrong tomorrow. And what's wrong today can't be right tomorrow. So go back to this question. 1,300 years passed by with nobody saying that there was anything immoral with this. So how do we see this? Let's look at the bigger picture. The charge against the Prophet, peace be upon him, is that the marriage to Aisha, the fact that he had many wives, the marriage to Zainab, all shows up, na'udhu billah. The charge is that he was a very sexually active, and that's a nice way of putting it. Some have called him sexual pervert, na'udhu billah, and so on. That's the charge that they've given. But if you look through his life, and you look through the culture, the bigger picture, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we had many parties going on in Makkah. Makkah was rampant. It was people used to go do tawaf around the Kaaba naked. And there used to be parties, alcohol was rife, poetry was rife. There used to be different forms of marriages which were like prostitution. And yet we have not a single case by Muslim or non-Muslim of the time who was against the Prophet ﷺ, who could have easily said of the Prophet ﷺ ever attending any of these sexual parties, any of these dancing girls culture. Not one. He did not go and indulge in these so-called sexual fantasies or whatever they want to charge him with. It was easy for Abu Sufyan, Abu Jahl to say, well, you know, this is the Prophet of your character. Look, he did this when he was 8. He did this when he was 12. Look what he did when he was 17 or whatever it is. But they didn't have anything to hang that on. You don't suddenly get sexual tastes. It doesn't acquire instantaneously. This marriage with Aisha radiallahu anha, it's not a forced marriage. There is another narration where the Prophet ﷺ, before the marriage is consummated, he asks her, does she want to renege it? And that hadith gives rise to the basis within quite a few within our Sharia, that if the marriage is done with a minor, that there's no consummation until puberty is reached, and that the right is given to the persons to be able to annul the marriage if they wish to, or void the marriage. It was not a marriage by force. She was not captive. She was not taken by force from her parents. The Prophet, peace be upon him, didn't force himself. There is not a single instance of what we today would call rape within wedlock. There's not a single case of that happening throughout the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Goes against his nature, because if he's saying that you can't even, the best among you is the best towards his wife. The best in the sight of Allah, is the hadith, is the one who is best to his wife. If that's the statement, and then he carries on, he says, and I am the best towards my wives. Not a single wife ever said that she didn't, if you like, she didn't feel like it one evening or whatever, he forced himself upon me, he did this or he did that and so on. It was not a forced marriage. All through his life, the Prophet, peace be upon him, and there's numerous ahadith, tried to instill in this Arab culture of the time the value of women. Right up to his dying days, right up to the farewell Hajj speech, if you look at it on your wall or whatever, it has a big section to do with they have rights upon you and you have rights upon them. But because you, men, are physically stronger, you have to be much more careful with how you deal with women. So all his life, that's what he's been trying to do. But we have, I think it's a cultural mindset. You see, in the West, Christianity has been the heyday for two millennia. Christianity, the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, Son of God according to Christians, many Christians, that's the model that they hold up to see if anybody fits that or not. So Jesus, look, Jesus, peace be upon him, he never did this to his women, he never did that. Well, he didn't have any women. Jesus, peace be upon him, never married. At the age of 33, when he was crucified, according to Christians, to us, when he was lifted up to heaven, at the age of 30, he had not got married. He didn't have family life to deal with. He didn't have wife or wives. Allah knows best what, because our tradition says he will come back to earth and get married. So when you compare the Bible and look at instructions for a married couple, well, you don't look at Jesus' statement because there's nothing there. He was, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was polygamous. He had more than one wife. For most of his life he had one wife, Khadija radiallahu anha. For the latter 11 years he had more than one wife. He had up to 11, 12, 13 wives. He was polygamous. The Isa al-Islam, Jesus was not. He was not married at all. So you don't have now comparison to deal with. The Prophet, peace be upon him, enjoyed the company of women. When he rushed after the three Sahaba who had gone slightly to the extreme They asked Aisha